A Vox in the Void presents Tales from the Void. Part 1. The Cleaner. Year 2185. Recorded conversation between Cleaner number 135 and Redeemed Sinner number 581984. How long have we been friends? It does not matter. We are all doing the great work. How precious it is. There is no greater sin than to question the great work. We all have our blessed duty, and we have all been chosen for our unique role in its fulfillment. I am a cleaner. That is my God-given duty. Each day I clean. That is what I am blessed to do. I maintain the sanctity of this great house of purification, and that is my great task. But of course, you already knew that, didn't you, sinner number 581984? We have been friends for quite a while now. It was me, after all, who cleaned the room in which you are purified. Those who stray from their God-given duty need to be cleansed, and I am the worker who cleans God's instruments of absolution. Each day more unclean servants of the devil are brought to this house of cleansing, much like you once were, my blessed friend. They stand in lines like the animals they are to be inspected and to be judged. Filthy vermin who have strayed from their God-given tasks. They sicken me. Their minds have been poisoned by the devil's words, but our God is merciful, and through his great work they shall be brought back into his light, just like you have been. Does it not fill you with joy to know you are once again clean? Morning blessing is surely one of my favorite occurrences of the day, wouldn't you agree? When we scream our devotion to God. I always feel such a sense of euphoria. And when the guiding preachers show us the mind-numbing images of God's will and cleanse our ears with the kaleidoscopic chorus of his word, we are reborn, ready to fulfill our life's purpose. We are truly blessed to have him watch over us. Now that I think of it, I haven't seen you at the morning blessings as of late. I guess someone in your position doesn't have the honor of being able to visit. So very unfortunate. Rooms 347 to 444 are under my care. I cherish them with all my heart. They are my children, you see, and I must keep them clean. I have cleaned many different foul substances from my children. Often the sinners cannot help but soil themselves as the purifiers do their blessed work. Oh, how I loathe the sinners! They sicken me! But it is my duty to purge the filth left behind by these wayward sons and daughters of God. I hear them scream out in lamentation for their terrible sins. Thieves, murderers, unbelievers, free thinkers, questioners, devils. They are all cleansed in the wombs of my blessed children. It pleases me to see my children's instruments shine in the dull blinking lights of their bowls as I wipe away the blood-red sins left behind by the impure. It must be cleaned, you see, or it will pull and eat away at my beautiful children. Needles and bolts and chains and screws and hammers and pliers, oh, how they make me swoon. I often find myself musing over how much purity they bring to the sinners, of the redemption they bring. Sometimes I even cleanse myself with them, as a reminder of how precious they are in instilling God's grace. They make me so proud. But you already knew that, didn't you? You have experienced their loving embrace too, haven't you? I have something very special to show you. You remember how I told you how sometimes the purifiers leave us beautiful treasures in the cleansing drains? I had to sift through the vicious entrails left behind by the sinner, but I found it. Oh yes, I did. I spied it swimming at the bottom. It was hiding from me, but I know each room with an intimacy reminiscent of the love workers. Would you like to see it? Let me show you. It is an eye. How beautiful it is. Look at how the great electrical machine has melted it so. Does it not look like a budding flower from the picture books the matrons used to show us as children? It's beautiful, red and blue veins blooming out from its pink and white bulbous petals. I will keep it in the box with the other beautiful treasures I have found. The box where I keep the gift you left me when you were purified. Oh, how I treasure it. You are my dearest friend, after all. Did I ever tell you about the time one of the sinners tried to escape? No? It was a glorious day. I was blessed enough to witness it all. He was a hider, you see. One of the filthy liars who tried to hide his children from their God-given task. He denied his transgressions, of course, as they always do. But I saw it. Yes, I saw it. I saw the devil's taint in his eyes. And oh, how it filled me with such disgust. He had managed to escape from room 461, cleaner number 136's room. Curse that blasted fool! He did not lock the door properly, you see. I was pleased to hear he was purged for his stupidity. Sinner number 650451 tried to run once he realized the door was unlocked. The purifiers got to him before he even reached the end of the corridor. How marvelous it was to see them at work. Their divine instruments of purity beating against his flesh like a loving father disciplining his wayward child. His cries of anguish bringing him ever closer to purity and his ultimate redemption. I was even chosen to be the one to clean his purified brain matter off the corridor's floor. What an honor it was. Why did you sin against our beloved Father? Did the lies of the devil worshippers poison your soul and blind you to his love? I will never understand the sinners. Curse them. Curse them all to hell. May they forever burn in the devil's house, where the torturous flames never relent, and the souls of their kind suffer for eternity. But it brings me joy to see you redeemed and made anew by this great place, my dearest friend. To see your sins absolved and your eyes opened once again to the truth that we are all loved, that we are all chosen by God to fulfill his great work. You are a good friend, absolved sinner number 581984. I enjoy talking with you. Although you only ever listen, and never reply. But I cannot hold that against you, for I know you have no tongue to speak with. It was your gift to me after all, and oh, how I cherish it. I do sometimes find it strange how you like to sway with the wind, and how you only ever look out into the courtyard with the same blank expression day after day. You never look at me when we speak. I find that rather rude. But it must be hard to turn your head with that thing around your neck. Yes, redeemed sinner number 581984. You are truly my most beloved friend.
Following this recording, cleaner number 135 was found guilty of being in possession of contraband items, including various body parts of his fellow sinners. He has since been purified, and his body hung alongside redeemed sinner number 581984 to receive forgiveness.
Part 2. They looked like nothing.
I would see them as I drifted in and out of that state between life and death, consciousness and dreams. I would see them. What did they look like? Nothing. They looked like nothing, because I guess that is what they were. Nothingness given form. How could you describe a black hole if you saw one? A black hole that walked in the shape of a man, or was it a woman? That is the best description of what they were. Nothing, or at least the best description I could give with my limited human perceptions. I saw them walk through my room into the hallways. Why were they there? They were there to feed, for in time I understood they fed on pain and suffering and grief. These nothing people were gourmands of human misery. And what better place to gorge oneself than an IC ward? People on the verge of death. People scared and in pain. The worry and grief of loved ones. This must be a banquet in a 5-star hotel to such ghoulish creatures. Or so I thought. It turns out I was wrong. Oh, so very, very wrong. Even shock trauma in Baltimore City was but an appetizer to these things. Merely a taste. No more than a free sample at Costco. For the nothing people, I soon found out, were voracious gluttons, pigs, junkies on the sweet treats of our woe. As I have already told you, they looked like nothing. Bipedal black holes in reality, so dark they even absorbed the natural darkness around them. But they were sapient and self-aware, maybe not alive as you and I understand life. But they existed, and the more I noticed them as they went from room to room and from pain to pain, the more they noticed me. Worse, they noticed me noticing them. And then it happened. One touched me. Just a light brush on my face, and it poured into me. Images. Visions, memories, meals, great feasts that the nothing people savored. I saw an ancient burning city, women being ravaged by barbaric, brutal invaders that killed everyone. Then a field where over 200 holy men were burned alive at the foot of a castle by soldiers and priests. Then I was pulled to great ziggurats in the jungle, where shamans adorned in feathers and gold tore the still beating hearts from screaming sacrifices. while thousands of brown-skinned, black-eyed and black-haired people reveled in a cannibalistic orgy that left me numbed to the core. The images came faster now. I picked up scenes from the Grand Army's retreat from Moscow, and the frozen dead they left were piled high across the snow-covered earth. I saw pickets charge where the humid July air hung with a red mist, as men were torn to pieces by massed cannon fire. I saw soldiers in blue open fire on defenseless Indians, mostly women and children, as they fled for their lives. I saw more and more. War, murder, rape. It became all too much for me to bear, and I fell upon my knees, tears freely flowing down my face. I finally stopped in a place where the trees, blasted and limbless, poked like gravestones out of the blood-drenched mud. The ground shook from a mass artillery barrage. I was still on my knees as the barrage stopped. It was still raining and the ground was already a swamp as I saw young men, English infantry, storm German lines. And I saw the Maxim machine guns open fire. The Devil's Paintbrush, murdered in broad, bold strokes as the dead and dying piled high. Again, time sped up as I watched a battle of months in mere minutes. I saw men, some no more than boys, scream as they were consumed by yellow gas. I heard the non-stop explosions of literally millions of artillery shells and the ever-present song of the machine gun. This was Passchendaele, where nearly 600,000 young men had lost their lives. This was horror. This was hell. Then I noticed them. They were there. They were always there, feeding and cavorting. Were they merely passive scavengers, like vultures or ravens? No, they were intelligent. The Nothing People did not merely feed off of human woe, they instigated it whenever they could. How? I don't know how, but they did. I turned on the one that brought me here and I screamed, "God damn you! God damn you all to hell, you fucking ghouls!" I looked around on the ground for anything to use as a weapon. I found a rifle that was in the hands of a fallen soldier. A boy, really, not much older than my own son. His young, dead eyes staring at the sky in disbelief. As I grabbed the gun, my reality shifted again. I was back in my hospital room. Nurses held me down as they tightened the restraints. I heard a man ask, "Damn it, he has been under over a week. How can he be so strong?" I answered him, "They're here. They're here. I have seen them. They are here." And then they sedated me again, and I slipped back into the mercy of unconsciousness. That was over 2 years ago, and after I left the hospital, I have spent the last 2 years convincing myself that these things that I saw were due to the drugs, or my nearness to death, or both. That is rational. That is sane. That is comfortable. That the evil in this world's the result of evil men. The mere result of the inhumanity of the human creature, not the result of supernatural entities beyond our perception. Yet, as I read the news, I see stories of an estranged father in Texas who cut the throats of his own children as his 8-year-old son sobbed, "Please, Daddy, I'm sorry." Or the man in Colorado who murdered his beautiful pregnant wife and 2 lovely little girls and left their bodies in oil tanks. Or the Florida mother who just killed her sweet little boy. I see war in Syria and Yemen, terrorism in Africa and Europe. I see pain and death and suffering everywhere I look. I have to wonder if I am wrong, and if I could find a way to change my all-too-human perceptions, would I again see those that look like nothing? I have a terrible suspicion that I would, but they would again notice me noticing them. And this time I don't think I could escape them or the visions they filled my mind with. and this time, I would be left mad and raving, and to me that would be worse than death. Because when I close my eyes at night, I see the face of the fallen soldier, the boy, not much older than my own son, probably the same age now. His young, dead eyes staring at the sky in disbelief. A child nearly a century dead. I think of the mother and father who loved him. Did he even exist? Or is he just part of an elaborate nightmare vision that I constructed? I do not want to know. I will just convince myself that there are no those that looked like nothing. Because that is rational. That is sane. And that is comfortable.
Part 3. The Ferryman.
I sat at my desk and traced the circles of water stains left by years of unattended cups. Somewhere in the house, a clock strikes 3. Each gong more haunting, more threatening than the last. The sound makes me stiffen in my seat. My hand freezes. My quest for knowledge was at an end, and I had learned so little. I get up from my old plywood desk. There isn't anything else in the room besides that old desk and the cheap rolling chair I had sat in. The posters that had hung on the walls were torn down. Books that had sat on the shelves were torn apart or burned. The minutiae that had filled my life had been overturned and destroyed in my frantic, hungry searching of the last few years. For hours I had stared at the blank walls, sitting, sweating, waiting. I run my hands through long, greasy hair, pushing it back from my forehead as I always did when I was nervous, as I had been doing since I had sat down at the desk this evening to wait. I don't know why I knew that my time was up, but I knew that it was. I looked down one end of the hallway to the empty bedroom that my wife and I had shared for many years. There was nothing left in that room besides a simple cot and a thin, coarse throw. Everything else in the room had been removed. Some of it I had carefully excised when my wife was still with me. Some of it I had disposed of after the wife, after every oblation. I thought I would be one step closer to the truth. But every night I knew that I was deluding myself. Every night I lay on the cot in the dark, alone, staring at the ceiling, wishing for the sweet release of sleep. Every night, until tonight. I didn't want to look to the other end of the hall. I couldn't stomach what I had done to get to this point. I could no longer deny it either. I was out of time. There, at the opposite end of the hallway, it stood. The light fixture in the hall was dim with age, flickering intermittently. The weak spasms of light did little to illuminate the vague man-shaped silhouette standing in the doorframe. He reached out a hand to me, gesturing for me to take it. I walked unhurriedly on the yellow-trodden carpet. I had entered and left this hall 1,000,000 times. 1,000,000 or more. I knew this was the last time I would leave it. Wherever he was taking me, I doubted I would ever return. He didn't seem to mind that I was slow. He said nothing as I took his hand. It was the same cold as winter air in a graveyard. Biting, chilling to the bone. He wore a clean suit, black. It might have been pinstriped. He had no face. I'm not sure if he never had one, or I had just forgotten when it had vanished. I wanted to recoil from the faceless figure, but the magnetism of destiny held me fast. He ushered me over the threshold with his other hand, and we both walked through the same empty doorframe that I had crossed a million times. We were somewhere else. Here, the emptiness above exploded with the birth and death of stars in slow motion, devoid of all color or meaning. Like black oil in an hourglass, the temporality of the cosmos dripped by at a glacier pace. The surface below rippled, a quicksilver pond that reflected nothing. I have never before set foot in this place, if place was even an accurate word for this pocket out of time, yet somehow it felt familiar. Or maybe the familiarity was a misunderstanding of predestination, mistaken identity for the rare feeling that wherever you are is where you are meant to be. Wherever here is, it is quiet, contemplative. My guide offers no words of encouragement or condolence. No clock ticks down to my doom. There is peace. Within the silence, a flood of voices enter my mind, an overpowering chorus of accents, young and old.
You have sacrificed much in your pursuit of understanding. You wish to see, perceive, sight, truth. You do not see this knowledge is not within your grasp, yet still you are entitled. Sin, hubris, delusion. You shall be made into a vessel of that which you seek. To you it will be given. Gift, blessing, covenant.
The words echo and ricochet around my skull. My face burns like white-hot fire. My eyes feel like they're melting from their sockets. I try to scream, only to realize I don't have a mouth anymore. I reach up and grab at my head, not knowing if I'm trying to keep my face where I thought it had been, or if only to confirm that it's already gone. My mind reels, senses and memories slipping away like precious water through parched fingertips. All I had given, all I had sacrificed, was nothing. The trappings of myself that I had shed in my pursuit of knowing did not even begin to weigh on the scale that measured my existence. All I was, and ever could have been, was being stripped away like candle wax from a burning wick. The emptiness seems to spin with vicious force. The nebulae and binary systems accelerating and crashing into one another, ceasing and beginning again and again, over and over, playing out the grand theater of the universe. Memories from across time and space vie to coexist in my psyche. In those moments, I am submerged and feel I will begin to drown in the cacophony of absurdity. But a light shines above me, a light of meaning and order in the chaos. I reach out to grasp it, and in it I am remade. My vision focuses again to the present. The burning has stopped. There is only the smooth suggestion of a brow, a nose, lips. No features remain that recall what I once looked like. I look down at my feet, staring up at me from beneath the rippling mirrored surface I stand on. I see that face that had belonged to the person I was. As I continue to look, I see more faces staring slack-jawed from the abyss surrounding me. I turn to the thing that brought me here. It has its hand out again, this time as if to shake mine, to welcome a new member or adjourn business concluded. I took it. I had already stepped over the precipice of the Rubicon or the Styx. The formality was inconsequential. I had died here, or what was myself was otherwise incarcerated in quicksilver. An infinite pact has been sealed. I am a vessel, an envoy,
A ferryman.